Have you ever noticed how success seems to come faster to the person who stops broadcasting their every move and instead channels that energy inward? It's as if they operate on a different frequency, a private rhythm that the rest of the world can't quite hear. The secret known by every person who has risen quietly, without the need for applause or public validation, is simple. They weren't born with more talent or better luck. They simply mastered something most people overlook: focus. This isn't just a shallow concentration, the kind that lasts for a few minutes before the next notification. It's an absolute, unapologetic discipline. It's the kind of focus that builds a foundation so strong that even in silence, it speaks louder than 1,000 empty words. When you begin to focus entirely on yourself, not as a way to escape the world, but as a path to elevate your being, you change the entire way your life unfolds. You start to value time alone more than other people's approval, and you protect your time with the same fierce intensity a warrior protects their sword. This shift in focus gives you a new, more powerful perspective on life. You start to value time alone more than other people's approval, because you know that in solitude, you can build a better, stronger version of yourself. It's in this quiet, focused space that you can think clearly and act with intention. You begin to protect your time with the same fierce intensity a warrior protects their sword, because you recognize that your time is your most valuable asset, and every moment you waste is a moment you can never get back. It is in this focused, protected space that your true work begins. The power of silence. Most people never experience real change because they're too public about their struggles and too distracted during the process. They confuse the noise of constant activity and social media updates with real progress. They seek validation for their effort before they've even earned a result. Every time they share their intention with the world, be a new goal, a new workout plan, or a new business idea, they release the very energy and momentum they need to complete it. They burn their power trying to be seen instead of letting their results make the announcement for them. But you, the person committed to growth, know better. You've decided that your focus is sacred. You're not becoming less social. You're becoming more in control of your own life. You understand that your peace and productivity are more valuable than public approval. The world around you will begin to feel different because you are different. You're not rushing anymore. You've disconnected from the constant chaos and tapped into a quiet, powerful rhythm that few can understand, but everyone can feel. You will become the person who walks into a room and doesn't need to speak to be heard. Your presence will be enough. People will look at you and wonder how you did it, and they won't get a simple answer. It wasn't one thing. It was 1,000 small decisions made in silence. 1,000 early mornings, 1,000 repetitions of invisible work. 1,000 times you chose discipline over instant pleasure. The problem with publicizing your journey: most people hinder their own progress by constantly sharing their struggles, goals, and intentions on social media or with others. The text argues that this behavior confuses noise, constant activity, social media updates, with genuine progress. The drain of validation. When people seek validation for their efforts before achieving results, they essentially release the energy and momentum they need to actually complete the task. The desire to be seen becomes more important than the actual work, and they end up burning out their power. The power of a disciplined mind. The text proposes a different path for a person committed to growth. This person understands that their focus is sacred and not for public consumption. By channeling energy inward, they gain greater control over their life. The transformation. By disconnecting from the constant chaos and public noise, they tap into a quiet, powerful rhythm. This internal shift changes their external reality. They no longer need to rush or seek approval. Their newfound calm and focused energy become palpable to others. The result of silent work. The text concludes by stating that this silent, consistent effort is what leads to true, undeniable success. The person becomes so self-assured that their presence will be enough to command respect. Their success isn't a result of one big break, but of countless small, disciplined choices made away from the public eye, like waking up early, doing difficult work repeatedly, and consistently choosing discipline over temporary pleasure. The simple answer to their success doesn't exist because it's the result of an unseen, thousand-part process. The new standard. The person who truly focuses on themselves doesn't wait for motivation to show up. They understand a fundamental truth. Motivation is fleeting, but commitment is eternal. They have trained their mind to obey not just in public when others are watching, but especially in private where true habits are formed. They build a personal code of conduct, creating habits that become laws for their life. They treat their time like a treasure, fiercely guarding it, and they surround themselves only with what supports the person they are becoming. You don't need to shout your goals to the world. The more you keep them private, the more powerful they become. There's a profound power in secrecy, not because you're hiding something, but because you're protecting your energy from those who would drain it. Your goals are not entertainment for others. They're a sacred contract with yourself. Let others talk. Let them scroll. Let them chase. You build quietly, relentlessly, and authentically. You become the person who doesn't flinch under pressure because you have been tested in the quiet crucible of solitude. You become the person who doesn't need to prove anything because you are living in alignment with your purpose. This isn't about isolation, it's about elevation. You are not walking away from the world. You are rising above its noise and chaos. This profound shift will create a new reality where your focus builds freedom, your silence builds strength, and your discipline becomes the currency of everything you desire. Commitment over motivation. It highlights that relying on motivation is unreliable because motivation is temporary. The text stresses that a person who is truly committed doesn't need to feel motivated to take action. They have trained their mind to obey their will, especially when no one is watching. The power of privacy. The text suggests that publicly announcing goals can drain the energy needed to achieve them. It posits that there's a profound power in secrecy, as it protects one's energy from others' negativity or distractions. Your goals are a private contract with yourself, not public entertainment. Building in silence. While others are talking and chasing fleeting trends, the disciplined individual is quietly building their foundation. This person becomes resilient to pressure because they have already tested themselves in private. They don't need to prove anything to others because their actions are aligned with their purpose. The outcome of this shift, this internal change leads to a new reality. Focus builds freedom from distractions. Silence builds strength of character. And discipline becomes the currency that brings about the desired outcomes in life. The individual rises above the chaos of the world rather than isolating themselves from it. The power of inner alignment. The core idea is that a person's external success is a direct reflection of their internal state. By aligning his purpose, habits, and thoughts, a man stops desperately chasing outcomes and instead naturally attracts them. This is not about being lucky or manipulative. It's about becoming so focused and intentional that opportunities are drawn to his well-ordered life. The uncomfortable path to self-honesty. This kind of transformation requires a level of self-honesty that most people avoid. It demands that an individual sit with their own thoughts, confront their flaws without making excuses, and take full responsibility for their current situation. This decision to stop blaming others and own one's present is the pivotal moment that initiates true change. From this point on, a person can begin to filter out what doesn't serve them, from draining relationships to self-sabotaging behaviors. Building in silence. The text emphasizes that an individual's highest potential is found not in the chaotic noise of the world, but in the stillness they create for themselves. The ultimate winner is not the one who talks the most, but the one who builds the most. This is done through a daily, deliberate focus on oneself, rather than relying on luck or charm. The man who embodies this philosophy is the one who ultimately wins, because he has cultivated an unbreakable inner foundation that is impervious to external chaos. The final reward. The man who focuses inward begins to experience a new kind of power, not the loud, boastful kind, but the deep, quiet, unbreakable kind. The kind that doesn't chase but attracts, not by manipulation, but by alignment. He becomes aligned with his purpose, his habits, and his thoughts. This takes a level of self-honesty most people run from. It requires you to sit in silence and look at your patterns without making excuses. It demands that you stop blaming your past and start taking full responsibility for your present. And from that decision, everything shifts. You stop being available for people who drain you. You stop compromising on behaviors that betray you. And you stop celebrating intentions and start demanding execution. You will find your highest potential not in the noise of the world, but in the stillness you create. The man who wins is not the man who talks the most, but the man who builds the most. And he built it not by chance or charm, but by choosing every single day to focus on himself. And that man is you.